Hi, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. For the subject Research Methodology in Counseling, ABA 3323, I will present my proposal about the relationship between leadership preference and self-esteem among USIM students. Before that, I will introduce myself. My name is Farah Najihah binti Fadzil. My metric number 1172527. I am from TAB 6. Let me start. So here, this is my outline presentation. It contains of 3 chapters, Chapter 1, Chapter 2, and Chapter 3. For the first one is Chapter 1, Introduction. For my research background, this study aims to emphasizing the relationship between leadership preference to contribute the self-esteem. Leadership has been defined many ways. Chaudhuri, in 1999, acknowledged that all definitions imply 3 elements. Leadership is a behavioral process. Second, leadership is interpersonal in nature. And the last is leadership is aimed to influencing and motivating members towards group goals. Bennis in 1989 also stressed that leaders are responsible for effectiveness and integrity in organization. It is important that individuals understand their own personal leadership. In order to develop and sustain successful leadership position, a leader must know their own leadership style as well as the strengths and weaknesses of that style. For the problem statement, effective leadership begins with the fundamental ability to believe in everyone. It incorporates a maturity, conviction, and expertise that translate into a purpose and direction. It is clarified of vision that give great leader a confidence to adopt the role of instilling motivation, self-esteem, and teamwork. Being a university student, it is no stranger to the various activities and clubs that require a leadership organization. However, not all the university students are able to stand in front as a leader. So, therefore, this study will examine the relationship of the leadership preference and self-esteem among the undergraduate USIM students. There are several research questions that will be discussed on this study. The first one is, what is the concept of leadership preference and self-esteem? Second, what is the relationship between leadership preference and self-esteem among USIM students? And the last one is, what is the differences between gender on leadership preference and self-esteem among USIM students? Next, research objective on this study is, first, to identify the concept of leadership preference and the self-esteem. The second, to identify the relationship between the leadership preference and self-esteem among USIM students. And the last one is to identify is there any differences between gender on leadership preference and self-esteem among USIM students. So here, this is the definition of term in this study. What is leadership? Fiedler in 1967 has interpreted leadership as a relationship between individuals that demonstrate power and influence which are evenly distributed so that an individual can practice and control the action of others beyond their control on individual. Next, what is self-esteem? Self-esteem refers to individual's perception or subjective appraisal of one's own self-worth, one feeling of self-respect and self-confidence, and the extent to which the individual holds positive or negative view about self. Self-esteem is related to personal belief about skills, ability, and social relationship. Chapter 2, Literature Review. In this study, researchers used trait theory of leadership. According to trait theory, those individuals born with special characteristics become successful leaders. It helps in identifying different personality and behavioral characteristics that transform an individual into a great leader. This could be self-confidence, courage, communication skills, and others. It also clears the abilities and personality characteristics of both successful and unsuccessful leaders so that the effectiveness of leadership can be identified. In Islamic perspective, from the ayah Al-Baqarah in verse 30, the verse gives the meaning of leadership in form wider. It is a responsibility that will be questioned in the hereafter. In Islamic management, leadership is considered as fundamental variable in an effort to place a management organization in the main place. For the literature review, I found a few studies on leadership preference and self-esteem that have been done by others researchers. So here, I state two the literature review that other researchers have done. The first one is according to Sudabeh Morshidian and Mohsen Mohammadi in 2012 in their research on leadership style and its relationship with subordinate self-esteem. The objective is to find the relationship between leadership style and self-esteem. The proposed study distributed a questionnaire among 80 managers and 150 regular employees of an organization in Iran. This study used Pearson correlation test, T-student, and Friedman test to verify the relationship. The result of survey indicate that there is a positive and strong relationship between participative leadership management style and self-esteem. The result also indicate that there is strong relationship between educational background and self-esteem. On the other study, about correlation between leadership style and self-esteem of employee in 2007. This study investigates on correlation between leadership style and employee self-esteem among colleagues in Aruska City. It employed descriptive correlation research design with a quantitative approach whereby a total of 125 respondents filled the questionnaire. Data was analyzed using descriptive statistics, t-test, and Pearson product moment correlation coefficient. There was a significant positive correlation between transformational leadership style and employee self-esteem. Now, we go to the last chapter, research methodology. Research design. Generally, research design means a structure to plan and execute a particular research. So, for my research design, I use quantitative design, which is I give my respondents some questionnaire to answer. Quantitative design contains of 4 types. In my study, I use correlation type. It attempts to determine the extent of the relationship between two or more variables using statistical data. Sampling method. In my study, I will choose randomly 100 students, include male and female from all programs including FKP, FST, FPQS, FSU, FBBU, and FEM in Islamic Science University of Malaysia, USIM. For data collection in my study, I will briefly explain the purpose of the study to my respondent. Second, I will explain to the participant how to complete the questionnaire. And then, I will allow participants to take about 15 to 20 minutes to complete the questionnaire. Scoring and analysis of data were carried out. And the last one, questionnaire were collected on the same day as the administration. Data analysis. The data for this study was analyzed using statistical software known as SPSS. SPSS is a software product used for statistical analysis. Second, I will use Pearson correlation. Since my study show the correlation between two variables, so I will use Pearson correlation. And the last one is descriptive. Descriptive analysis is to check the mean and standard deviation of each variable. Instrumentation. I will use some questionnaire or instrumentation to collect data from my respondent to fulfill my study. So the first instrument is Multi-Factor Leadership Questionnaire, or in short it is called MLQ. MLQ was developed by Best and Avalio in 1992. It is contain 21 item Likert scale. MLQ also it is used to measure transformational leadership style systematically. The second instrument is self-esteem scale. It was developed by Maurice Rosenberg in 1965. It contains 10 item Likert type. And this self-esteem scale is to measure global self-worth by measuring both positive and negative feeling about self. That's all from me. Thank you for watching.